Okay, we're going to be going through this arrest affidavit released today for Barry Morphew in the state of Colorado on 9/20/2021. This is signed by Judge Patrick Murphy, dated 5/4/2021, and this is in Chaffee County, which is the 11th Judicial District here in Colorado. The undersigned, being duly sworn, deposes and swears that this affidavit is made in support of application for an arrest warrant for Barry Lee Morphew, aged 53. Your affiant is investigating the disappearance and murder of Suzanne Renee Morphew, age 49, who was reported missing on May 10, 2020 from their residence at 19057 Puma Path, unincorporated Chaffee County, Salida, Colorado. Based upon interviews, information, and the evidence collected to date, Suzanne's husband, Barry, violated Colorado Revised Statutes CRS 18-31021A by committing murder in the first degree, tampering with physical evidence, and attempt to influence a public servant, and took affirmative steps to conceal the murder in the months following. Your affiant informs this court that the chief investigator for the 11th Judicial District Attorney's Office and has been employed with the office since January 2007 and has investigated the missing persons and homicide matters. Your affiant has been assigned to assist in the investigation of the case described herein below. Your affiant has knowledge of the investigation from the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office, CCSO, agents with the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, CBI, special agents with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and my personal investigation. Your affiant further states that from investigation to date, all incidents described herein occurred in the county of Chaffee and within the state of Colorado. Suzanne took clear, articulable steps in January 2020 in attempts to separate from and divorce her husband, Barry. She told her family and close friends about her intentions, secretly recorded her notes of abuse in her phone because Barry monitored it, and confronted Barry in arguments that she secretly recorded with help from a friend, and finally sent him a text 4 days before she disappeared saying that she was, quote, done, let's handle this civilly, unquote. Barry, however, initially represented to investigators from CBI, FBI, and CCSO that his marriage with Suzanne was perfect, quote, unquote, and she had no intention of leaving him. Barry's statements about his actions on the days before and after Suzanne's disappearance have proven to be false and misleading by this investigation. Barry knowingly destroyed evidence that his relationship with Suzanne was deteriorating and that he was involved in her disappearance and homicide. Suzanne's bicycle and helmet were recovered close to the Morphew residence, discarded before Barry left town in the early morning hours of May 10, 2020. And the investigation to date indicates that these items were not indicative of an accident, an animal attack, Suzanne being a runaway, Suzanne committing suicide, or Suzanne being a victim of stranger abduction. All records checks available to the FBI and local law enforcement indicate as of April 30th, 2021, that Suzanne has not used a credit card, nor her social security number, nor has she been contacted by law enforcement, not flown in an airplane, not crossed a national border, not established utilities or housing, nor otherwise continued in her normal pattern of life for over 355 days. Based upon legal supposition, Suzanne Morphew, based on the lack of proof of life, is deceased. Within a month or so of Barry moving Suzanne and their daughter from Indiana to Colorado in April 2018, Suzanne sent a Facebook message of, quote, howdy stranger, unquote, to her high school friend Jeff Libler. Suzanne and Libler who resides in Michigan, began communicating regularly through 2018 and eventually began meeting each other in 2019. Suzanne traveled to meet him in New Orleans, Indianapolis, Dallas, Michigan, and Florida, where they eventually had consensual sex. By September 2019, Barry took clear steps to determine if Suzanne was having an affair by stalking her at her own residence in Salida, Colorado, as witnessed by Suzanne's closest friend, Sheila Oliver. In January 2019, Barry took Suzanne's phone from her when they were in a resort in Mexico while she was talking to Libler, but he was unable to determine Libler's identity. On May 8, 2020, Suzanne saved in the notes section of her phone that Barry accused her of having a boyfriend on May 6, 2020. On May 9, 2020, Suzanne's last proof of life occurred in the 2 p.m. hour when she was messaging Libler with a selfie, quote, while Barry returned to the residence. Suzanne did not respond to Libler's return messages at 2:44 and 2:46 p.m., the same time Barry admitted to running around the property with a gun and placing his phone in airplane mode at 2:47 p.m. The computer activity telematics from Barry's Ford F-350 and the activity of his cell phone and statements he made to law enforcement in multiple interviews confirmed that from 2:47 p.m. on May 9, 2020 until 5:37 a.m. on May 10, 2020, he took steps to dispose of evidence of Suzanne's disappearance and death, create a false alibi for himself, and stage a crime scene. In recent months, following the presentation of evidence by FBI agents to Barry, he has changed critical details about his activities in the 2 p.m. hour on May 9th in attempts to match the evidence. Since January 2021, Barry has admitted to chasing a chipmunk with a gun around the house while Suzanne was outside sunbathing, shooting a deer with a tranquilizer dart to explain a dart needle cap in the dryer, disposing of the tranquilizer solution during his trip to Broomfield, following a bull elk down Highway 50 in the 4 a.m. hour on May 10th to explain why his truck would be headed west, where the helmet was discarded, and finally stating to the FBI on April 22, 2021, that he looks guilty from the evidence and God allowed these things to happen. Barry's involvement in Suzanne's disappearance and death can be organized into the initial scene and interviews, Section 1, Suzanne's affair and her attempts to leave him, Section 2, Barry's early statements to the CBI from May through June 2020, Section 3, and the evidence recovered by law enforcement, Section 4, witness statements, Section 5, and Barry's statements to the FBI in 2021, wherein he tangentially describes what happened to Suzanne when he is shown evidence in the case, Section 6. And the following case synopsis was prepared for this affidavit by your affiant with the assistance of FBI Special Agent Jonathan Grusing, and that's going to be abbreviated SA, Jonathan Grusing. This affidavit was edited and reviewed by SA Kenneth Harris and CBI agents Joseph Cahill and Derek Graham. The affidavit includes footnotes that denote critical deceptive statements and inconsistencies by Barry that are addressed later in the affidavit. So that's the intro, and I will go through each section here in the upcoming videos. Let me know if this is interesting and you guys want more, and I will keep going. Thanks for joining.